Hey there, everyone. It's me, old Movie Master. So, yes, I don't have a baseball cap on today. It's wash day. So, but no, I just ran out of them. I want to use different ones for different videos, and I'll put on one next time. So, I did a video about 6 years ago, which is 15 movies that everyone loves, that I hate. And a lot of people like the video. Thank you. I see the comments for that video all the time, and I'm glad that people like it. And it's fine if you didn't agree with my opinions on the video. That's the whole point. It's everyone has different tastes in movies. So with that said, there's a list of 15 other movies that I don't like. These movies on this list, I don't necessarily hate. I think these movies are fine. I just don't love. I don't understand why they're so loved by audiences. But hey, it's everyone has different tastes in movies. So if you like these movies, hey, it's completely understandable. You know, everyone loves different things. It'd be a very boring world if everyone loves the same type of movies. So there's two honorable mentions on this list, but they're very different movies. They're polar opposites, and I put them on this list for different reasons. And I'll talk briefly about them. The first one is 50 Shades of Grey. I know a lot of people hate this movie, but there's also a lot of people that love it. So for that reason, I put it as an honorable mention because it's not a movie that's loved by everyone. A lot of people hate it. But I got around to seeing the movie just out of curiosity, and this movie's terrible. It's terrible. I don't get how people can think that this is like a healthy relationship. It's the complete opposite of how two adults should behave in a relationship. I guess I get it if you see this as a fantasy. But I thought this movie was really bad. And the amount of money they put into this movie, and the fact that there's like 2 or 3 sequels after this movie, and it's based on a popular book, I don't like this movie. It's just one of those movies that baffles me, and I was laughing at a lot of it. A lot of the lines were just really cheesy and cringe. The next one is a complete opposite of this movie, and I have to rewatch it. But for now, it's a movie that I do not like. And I like the director. I actually love all his movies, and this is the first movie in his filmography that I had a hard time getting through. I almost quit watching this movie, and that's Tenet. Tenet, directed by Christopher Nolan. I was anticipating this movie since it was announced because he's one of the few remaining directors that does original movies, and they go to theaters. So when I heard that this movie was delayed because of the pandemic, and then eventually got released in theaters, I wanted to see it. And here's the thing with this movie. It's very ambitious. It's very original. But it's a chore to get through. I really didn't like it. And people tell me I have to rewatch it, and I will rewatch it. But it's the first Christopher Nolan movie that I sat down and watched, and I was confused with the whole thing. It was so extremely convoluted, unnecessarily convoluted. All the characters were wooden, and I couldn't feel for any of them. You know, the main protagonist, which his name is the protagonist, I know nothing about him. Like, nothing at all. And it's hard for me, like, when I'm watching a movie, I need to understand the characters' motives, how they feel, because that's what makes a movie interesting, is, you know, you can have great spectacles, amazing visual effects, and by this point, most movies have amazing visual effects, even mid-sized budget movies. But, again, cinematography-wise, amazing. Visual effects, you know, because Christopher Nolan likes shooting things, you know, on location, amazing. But the story was just all over the place. Things were going backwards in time while staying present, and it was just too much. Like, this felt like something that could have been a TV show like Westworld, not a movie. It was just one of those things that I don't get. Again, I will rewatch it because I like Christopher Nolan, but from the reviews, most people love the movie. You know, most people enjoy it. So that's why I put it as an honorable mention. So, and it's an honorable mention because my opinion might change once I rewatch it. But I always say if you have to watch a movie 2, 3, 4 times in order to like it, might not necessarily be a very good movie. But again, I left it as an honorable mention. The ones following, I think most people love. And they're not in any particular order. Like, there's no order of me disliking one movie more than another. But here it goes. The first one is a movie that got an Oscar. It was nominated and it won an Oscar for Best Picture in 2004, I believe. I was like in high school. And I was like, why? I don't get it. And now people are saying that it's an overrated movie. And that movie is Crash. Crash is a movie that I recall seeing in high school, and it was the most talked about movie of that year, even before it won the Oscar. Everyone was saying that this is like the most original movie. It's you feel the characters, and while I don't think it's a bad movie, I've watched it and I own it. I think it's just fine. It's an okay movie. I think there's a lot of stereotypes in the movie that are just stereotypes, and there are things that do happen in the movie that do translate to the real world, but they're very exaggerated. And I guess that's part of what a movie should be. A movie should be an exaggeration. It shouldn't be verbatim how life is, because then it would be very boring. You know, even movies that are based on true stories, they have to add some sort of fantasy and, you know, fictitious, you know, things in it sprinkled here and there in order to spice it up. But with Crash, it plays so straight, like it's telling you this is how people behave, and this is how people think. And I don't know, there's some things in it that, yes, I'm pretty sure they might happen, but it hasn't aged well. Even when it came out, and I remember seeing it about 5 years after it came out. I had to watch it for school and college. I don't know why we had to watch it. I don't know what class it was. And everyone loved it. And even back then, this is probably like in 2009, 2010, and I hadn't seen it for a few years. And I still thought it was just an okay movie. And I've watched it again probably like a year or two, and I still think it's fine. It has a good score. It has good acting for the most part. The only actor in this movie who I thought wasn't that good was Brendan Fraser. And it's not his fault, it's just a character. I thought this character was just whatever. Ludacris was good, so was Don Cheadle. Don Cheadle's probably my favorite part of the movie. Like, his story was my favorite part. The whole story with him and his brother and his mother, I liked. But it's a movie that's so loved. Like, you still go on Amazon, go on IMDb. Yes, there's people now within the past 2-3 years that they'll tell you this is an overrated movie and it shouldn't have won the nomination for Best Picture. But there's still people who defend this movie so much as to say that yes, this is the movie that should have won the Best Picture back in 2004. And again, like I said, I don't hate this movie. I just think it's just very, very average. I've seen, like, it's not like a movie that I would, again, put in that category. The next one is a movie that came out, in 2018. And I don't get it. I don't get it because I love this series of movies. And this particular franchise of horror movies is all over the place. But I like them. And that's the Halloween franchise. In 2018, we got a soft reboot/sequel that's very popular nowadays, to do sequels to movies that came out 30 years ago and just like wipe the slate clean and do something completely different. But that's a problem. They didn't do anything different. And that's the Halloween 2018 movie. I saw this in theaters. And I was in awe of how dumb this movie was. I recall that I did like a marathon of all the Halloween movies. And this is the thing with the Halloween movies, unlike Friday the 13th or the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, the timeline in the Halloween movies is so weird. The first movie is great. It's a classic. I love that movie. It's probably one of the best slasher movies ever made. Part 2 is just as good. It's actually one of my favorite sequels because it takes place in the same night. And it's shot by the same cinematographer, Dean Cudney. Halloween 3, which a lot of people don't like, I enjoy because they tried something different. They closed the chapter with Michael Myers, but people didn't like the fact that they kept the same title of Halloween. And that was the plan by John Carpenter. Originally, he didn't want to make a sequel to the first movie. He just, it was supposed to be even called, it wasn't even supposed to be called Halloween, it was supposed to be called The Babysitter Murders. So, Halloween 3 was supposed to be something original, but it shows you that people, even though they say they like originality, they don't necessarily mean it, because that's why you have movies like Halloween 4. And while I do enjoy Halloween 4, it's just more of the same. And same thing with Halloween 5 and Halloween 6 and Halloween Resurrection, which I think that one's the worst one in the franchise, where Buster Rhymes defeats Michael Myers. I just don't... It's hilarious. But this one, I actually dislike it even more than the Rob Zombie remake, because it brought nothing new. It wiped the slate clean, but it used stuff from all the other movies. There's a sequence in the bathroom in the Halloween 2018 movie that's taken straight from Halloween H2O. And there's just so many inconsistencies. How is it that this guy, Michael Myers, this takes place 40 years after the first movie, Laurie Strode is still traumatized, but she's no longer related to Michael, which is something that I liked, that it introduced in Halloween 2, and they even have it in the extended cut of the first Halloween. They removed that, and I don't know why they did that. I think that was a smart choice. I did like Laurie being a character that is kind of like Linda Hamilton in Terminator 2. Like, she's like Sarah Connor. She's like preparing for Judgment Day and the booby traps and all that. But there's just so many dumb things. There's a character who trips over their own sock. A girl loses her cell phone in this fruit punch, and that scene is only there so the following scene that takes place, she has no one to communicate with, and of course Michael's after her. So it was just one of those movies that I didn't understand or love, and to this day I haven't seen the trailer for Halloween Kills, or is it Halloween Kills or Halloween Ends? I don't even know. I haven't watched the trailer because I didn't like the 2018 movie. I thought it was just very mediocre. People are comparing it to the first original Halloween only because there's shots in the 2018 version that look and are mimicking the original. That's what I hate about these. It's been popular since The Force Awakens. Since Star Wars The Force Awakens, people have been doing this a lot, where they'll get a popular movie and they'll just basically remake it, and hopefully no one will notice. We'll repackage it and add a few things here and there, and no one's going to notice. Trust me, we're going to notice. Fans of the original movies are going to notice. So, yeah, Halloween 2018, no bueno, not for me. So, next one on the list is Top Gun. This is like a popular 80s movie that gets quoted all the time, like, I got the need for speed, and you can be my wingman anytime. I love Tom Cruise. I love the Mission Impossible movies. I like Risky Business. He's an actor who's endured so much. Like, he's gone through so many things in life, and so many odd things, and his movies have gotten better over time. Like, the sixth or seventh Mission Impossible movie is one of his best movies of all time. I really like that one. Mission Impossible Fallout. I really enjoyed it. But I don't enjoy Top Gun, and it's getting a sequel. I thought this movie was just so corny, so cheesy, and a lot of things in this movie come off, maybe it's just me, but it comes off really gay. And no offense to anyone who is gay or anything. It's just certain lines in this movie is this movie like a closeted, gay movie? Like, it's trying to make a message that Tom Cruise and Val Kilmer have something going on in this movie. I don't know. I found it really weird, and it's one of those movies that I don't like even when it's playing on TV. I never want to watch it. I just switch the channel. I just don't care for what's going on the screen. The soundtrack, the popular song, what's it called, Danger Zone. I like the song, but I don't care for its association with the movie. Like there's been times where I've played the song in my car, and so I was like, oh, that's Top Gun. It's a great movie. It's like, don't care for Top Gun. So I have nothing else to say about this movie. Again, I'm not trying to offend anyone who's gay or anything like that. I'm just saying that this is one of those movies that I don't know what the intention of it was. Is it a satire? Is it like I don't know what it is. It's just one of these movies that just comes off as very corny, and people actually think of it as one of those staples of 80s. That's not a teen movie because he's not playing a teenager. He's playing like this guy who's in. He's a fighter pilot, whatever. And even the shots with the plane are whatever. So, again, I have nothing else to say about Top Gun. It's just one of those movies that I don't get why people love so much. Next one is a comedy that a lot of people love. I actually haven't found a bad review on this. I haven't. And maybe if I rewatch it again, I'll like it. At one point, I think I owned it on DVD, and I got rid of it without rewatching it. And that movie is Napoleon Dynamite. This movie I don't see many people quoting it as much anymore, but there was a period, just the same as with Borat. It's in a movie that was on another list that I never understood. I get it, it's a satire and whatever, but I find the character of Borat so annoying. And the same thing with Napoleon Dynamite. The main character, I find him so he's so goofy, and his other friend also is so goofy. And I'll give it this much: it's very original, and the way it's shot, it's very unique. It's not like any other comedy movie that I've seen, and I don't hate the movie. Like there's certain parts in the movie that I do laugh. It reminds me of like a sketch that's going on for too long. That's for me. It's one of those movies that just, as a whole, it felt too long. And I don't think it's above 90 minutes. I don't remember, but it's been too long. Maybe if I rewatch it, I'll feel differently about it. But for now, it's just one of those movies that I don't like. I really don't. And it's just, it's a comedy that, like there's a scene towards the end where he's like on stage and he's like doing this dance. It felt like it was going on for ages, and it probably wasn't, but it felt for me like it was just going on for too long. So yeah, nothing else I have to say about this movie, Napoleon Dynamite. I don't love it. Another one, and I'm going to get a lot of hate for this one. I'm going to get a lot of hate. I don't hate this movie, mind you. I think it's just okay. It's considered probably one of the best movies in the MCU. And I saw it in theaters, and it was like a phenomenon when it came out. And I've seen it, I own it because I own all the MCU movies. I think this movie is fine. I don't think this movie's bad. It's just fine. It's no better or worse than any other movie in the MCU. Most of the movies in the MCU, even Endgame, which I really liked, they're all kind of interchangeable. They're all, I don't know if I'm in the minority because I don't really pay attention too much to like all the reviews out there. I only go out of my way when I'm doing a video like this. But I don't think any of these movies are amazing, like the MCU movies. Like they're not like something that's like art. They're not like other movies that I would put like in a Criterion collection. They're just entertaining movies that you watch in theaters or watch at home. And I've gotten to the point where I'm kind of getting tired of them. Like it's nice when you see something different, like the Joker movie with Joaquin Phoenix. I thought that one was really good. It's nice when you see something different, but for the most part, they're all fine. So the movie that I was going to add to this list, now that I explained all of this, is Black Panther. Everyone was saying that Black Panther is like when it came out, it was like the best movie in the MCU. It's one of the best superhero movies. There's nothing like it. And I saw it, and I thought it was just as good as Captain America or Iron Man. It was entertaining. I enjoyed it, but I didn't think it was amazing. People were saying it's like a 10 out of 10. And to me, it's like a 7 out of 10. It's one of those movies that if it's on, I'll watch it. Actually, it was on TV a few nights ago, and I was watching a little bit of it. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Some of the effects aren't very good. Like towards the end, they look, the fight scene between Black Panther and Killmonger looks kind of like weird. Feels like they didn't render the effects very well. I like the music. The soundtrack is really good. The message of the movie is really good. It reminds me a lot of Lion King, but I don't think it's amazing. I don't think it's one of those movies. It's not a movie that I love. It's so, God forbid you say anything bad about this, especially, since Chadwick Boseman passed away. And it's funny because I don't even think it's his best performance. Like, if you watch movies like 42, or anything else in his filmography, like Marshall, you'll see Chadwick Boseman's real talent as an actor. In Black Panther, he did a good job. I'm not saying he did a bad job. I'm not saying he did a bad performance. He actually did really good. But it's not compared to the other movies that he's done in the past, where he's playing biographical characters. He's here just playing a superhero. So, that's Black Panther. So, I know a lot of people are going to disagree and they're going to hate me for that. Hey, it's fine. Everyone likes different movies. So, next one is a movie that, at the time when this movie came out, I was in film school, and everyone was saying that was like the best movie of that weekend when it came out in theaters. And I also like this director, and I think he's done amazing movies, but this is one movie that, and I actually own it. I got it like at Walmart for like $3 or $5 in that bin. And the movie is Ready Player One. Ready Player One, I think it's based on a book. I never read the book, but everyone who watched this movie was saying that this is like the most amazing movie for anyone who grew up in the 80s and 90s because it's full of nostalgia. And it is. It's just too much of it. It's too much at once. You're seeing like every single movie that you've probably watched. I felt like, I don't know if it's a great analogy or not, but if you've seen Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, when the woman's saying, "Oh no, it's too much," because she's getting all the knowledge. That's how I felt because it was just so much going on. I thought the movie was entertaining. Like when I was watching, I thought it was just fine. It's one of those movies that I was laughing at a lot of things that didn't make sense to me. Like these characters are enamored with 90s and 80s nostalgia, but they're living like 40, 50 years into the future. That's if like you met someone today who is enamored with like 30s nostalgia, and they quote it like they lived during that era. I'm pretty sure there's people who like stuff from back then, but you won't find that many people. Like in this movie, everyone is like knowledgeable with 80s and 90s. It's as if nothing else. It's as if nothing else new came about. But then again, we're living in an era where all we're seeing is 80s and 90s remakes. And I hope, many years to come that people don't get stuck in that era. That's one of the reasons why I prefer watching, indie films or things that are original and not all these remakes and reboots. Because they're getting kind of tiring. They really are. I did a video last year where I was saying that movies aren't getting worse. I have to delete that video because I do think that not so much all movies are getting worse, but popular movies are getting worse. Like, all these movies that are going to theaters, they're just all the same thing over and over again, and people are paying for it. So, Ready Player One, I thought it was entertaining, but I didn't think it was an amazing movie. Let's move on to the next one. Next one on the list is a movie by Rian Johnson. And no, it's not Star Wars The Last Jedi. I know a lot of people are still divided by that movie. No, it's a movie that was one of his early movies. There was a time when I was interested in seeing his filmography, and because I liked Looper. I still think that's his best movie, Looper, and even that movie has a lot of plot holes. But this one, I honestly could not finish. I just couldn't finish it. It was so boring. so like odd, and that movie is Brick. This is supposed to be like a noir taking place in the high school, and all the characters, which are teenagers, are behaving like 40-year-olds, and not even interesting 40-year-olds, to be precise. It's just one of those movies that, and I like Joseph Gordon-Levitt. He's the main character in this movie. He's investigating a murder of one of his classmates, but it just drags and it goes on for so long, and I even want to give it props for originality, but it failed at it. It failed miserably. And I got this like at Big Lots, and I even feel like I overpaid for this movie. And I think it's still lying somewhere there. I tried selling it online, and no one wants to buy it. But if you look at the reviews online, it has good ratings. I remember when, I think it was when Last Jedi was about to be released, people were interested in in his other movies like Brothers Bloom, and now he has one called Knives Out, and I haven't seen Knives Out, but Brick is one of those movies that I will never ever revisit. I don't hate it, but I think it's just boring, and I didn't even finish it, to be honest. So another movie that I didn't finish, I couldn't finish it. It was just too long. It's Boyhood. Boyhood. I recall hearing about it like 5 years before it came out because it was a movie that they start shooting in the 90s. So they start shooting it, every couple of years. So you're actually seeing all the characters grow up, and I was really intrigued by that. Also because I had no clue about the director. It was mostly because of Ethan Hawke. Ethan Hawke is one of my favorite actors. He's very underrated. But he has any movie that he releases, I'll watch. And one of my favorite movies from him, if you've never seen, which I think is a better version of Tenet, because it involves time travel, is Predestination. That movie I thought was way better. That's the one movie that I can think of that it's sort of complex, but not too complex, and you can actually follow the storyline. Whereas in Tenet, I felt like I was playing catch up. Every 2 minutes, I don't know what's going on. Another problem that I have with Tenet that I forgot to mention quickly before I don't want to get too off topic, and I think people have mentioned this, the sound in Tenet, I don't understand half of what people are saying in that movie. So that's another reason why I'm kind of like, I don't know if I want to rewatch it, and if I do, it has to be with subtitles, because the sound mixing was pretty bad. But Boyhood, I couldn't finish. It was so boring. It kept going on, and there was no plot. You're just seeing a family and with different things going on in their lives, and I just couldn't finish it. I really couldn't. And I wanted to because I like Ethan Hawke, but even his character I thought was just whatever. So, yeah, Boyhood, didn't love, and I know a lot of people love it. It has good reviews, and people consider it one of the best, achievements, and I will give it that. It's a great achievement to shoot a movie for 10, 15 years. I don't know how long is it that they shot the movie. So, yeah. Next one is a horror movie that I remember seeing it, and I thought it was pretty good, and I've since rewatched it, and I think it's just okay. It's okay, and that movie is It Follows. This movie reminds me a lot in terms of cinematography of Halloween. It's shot like Halloween, kind of looks like it too, because of the atmosphere. But the plot, for those who haven't seen it, it's basically a killer STD. And they managed to make it sort of interesting. But it doesn't have much rewatchability. I've tried rewatching it, and it just felt really, really slow. That's the thing with the atmosphere of a John Carpenter movie. If someone else tries to imitate it, it comes off as boring and slow. With John Carpenter, his music, his directing style, the lines that are given to characters in his movies, the amount of detail makes it interesting and makes it worthwhile. That's why I can always rewatch Escape from New York, Halloween, because they're classics. But with It Follows, it felt like an imitation, even though it's a completely different plot. And I know people are going to disagree with me. That's okay. I think it's one of those horror movies that it's not awful. It's not. There's good things in it, but it overstays its welcome. You know, what started off as an interesting idea felt like a gimmick towards the end. It felt like, okay, I get it. They have to keep passing it on, you know, and it won't stop. It will keep coming after them. So I give it props for originality because nothing else had been done like that up until that point. But try rewatching the movie again. It's just knowing what you know. It doesn't have anything else to offer. Unlike other movies that I'll always rewatch because I either enjoy the music, the characters, but with this type of movie, I don't remember any of the names of the characters, you know? Whereas if you tell me Halloween, I can remember all the characters' names. So, yeah, It Follows is on the list as one of those movies that I know a lot of people love and consider one of the better, like, horror movies of the past decade. But I thought it was just okay, you know. What else do we have on the list? Next one is a movie that is another horror movie that a lot of people have recommended to me over the years, and I watched it when it came out, and I've rewatched it again more than once to give it a second chance and a third chance, and I don't... Here's the thing, I do not like found footage movies. There's very few found footage movies that I like, and I'll mention them right now. I like Chronicle. I thought that's a really good one. It's probably Josh Trank's best movie. I like Wreck, not Quarantine, not that terrible movie American remake. I like all the Wreck movies. Those are great ones if you haven't seen. I like The Devil Inside, but I like it as an unintentional comedy. I don't like Blair Witch. I don't like those terrible Paranormal Activity movies. I think those are like some of the worst movies ever made. But one that I just don't get why people still recommend this movie, people like it, is The Fourth Kind. The Fourth Kind is a weird found footage movie because it's not even like real found footage. It's a reenactment. You're seeing the footage that was found. It's the actual footage of, to explain the synopsis, it's about alien abductions and all this other stuff. And I found it interesting because I've always been fascinated with stuff about aliens. So, you know, ancient aliens and all that other stuff. I always am intrigued by it. So, even if a lot of it's kind of silly stuff, but with the movie, it was strange because you're seeing Mila Jovovich playing the character that you're seeing. So you're seeing both footages. You're seeing her reenact what actually happened. And most of the time, I thought that she was just overacting Mila Jovovich in the actual footage that she's reenacting. And you're seeing it in split image. And I thought it was just so weird. I always gravitated towards the real footage instead of her acting. So I was like, what's the point of this movie? Is just to show that you can over-exaggerate what was shown in the old footage? I don't know. I didn't like this movie. And you go online and people like it. People think it's scary and oh my god, I couldn't sleep for nights. This movie, like, I tried finishing it several times over the years. And again, I saw it when it came out in 2009 and I saw it in 2015. I haven't seen it probably in 4 years. And even the last time I saw it, I was like, this is like a mission to get through. So I do not love this movie. No, I'm sorry. I really do not. It's not scary. It's boring. Another movie that I find boring. And this movie is really boring. Jesus, this movie is like boring. I actually want to keep the DVD only in case I need to fall asleep at night. Because there's times where I just can't sleep. And that is Lost in Translation. This one is just plain torture. Really, it is. I had the DVD for years, and I hadn't opened it. So I said, let me watch it. Let me see what all the fuss is about. And it's just two people in Japan, and they're both equally as boring. And there are only two people that speak English, I guess, so they get along. It's supposed to be a romance, but I never see the chemistry between them. And I've never really been a big fan of Bill Murray, to be honest. I've always found him as this kind of guy who, he looks always tired and kind of annoyed, And it works in some movies like Ghostbusters and Groundhog Day, but that's all he ever plays for the most part. He always plays a guy who's kind of like, I've never cared for him, and he just fumbles throughout all his scenes in Lost in Translation. And I actually finished it. I forced myself to finish the movie because it was. I remember I did a double feature that night. I did Lost in Translation and Eternal Sunshine because I had not seen either one. And Eternal Sunshine I loved. I thought it was an amazing movie, very well made. But Lost in Translation, like every single time was like, get to the point, get to the point. Yeah, he's bored in Japan because he doesn't understand their culture. He's doing photographs and they're asking him to behave and look like someone who doesn't look like him. Is that the point? Like, I thought Scarlett Johansson looked, really cute in the movie. I'll tell you that much. But outside of that, I thought it was just one of those movies I'm never going to revisit ever again. So, and it's considered Sofia Coppola's best movie. Okay, so what do we have? Next one is Aladdin from 2019, I believe it came out. Aladdin, I love the cartoon. It's a classic. It's probably one of my favorites. Probably my favorite Disney movie. So I was intrigued to see the movie. I saw it in theaters. And I saw the trailer and I was already kind of like, this doesn't look very good. And then I watch it, and nothing against Will Smith, because I like a lot of the classic Will Smith movies. Anything before Men in Black 3, I like. Men in Black 3, I think, is his last good movie. Everything else he's done afterwards, I don't care for. So Will Smith plays the genie, and I'm sorry, like, I wanted to give him a shot, but he's nothing like Robin Williams. Robin Williams will always be the genie for me. There's just certain characters that are difficult to recast, and I say this always with horror movies. Doug Bradley is Pinhead, Brad Dourif is Chucky, and Robert Englund is Freddy. And when it comes to kids' movies, Robin Williams is the genie. Like, it's very much him. So seeing someone else play the character, even though I said, let me give it a shot, it didn't work for me. And even that classic scene where the Prince Ali song, I'm not going to sing it because it's going to get copyright written all over it if I start singing the song or even humming it. But it felt so slow in comparison to the cartoon. And I get it. Cartoon is very different to real life. But I don't know, like, if you can watch it on YouTube, play it in 2-speed. It looks way better than what they did in the movie. I don't think it's as bad as something like Lion King. Like, the Lion King movie from Jon Favreau I thought was trash. That was just bad. So, there we go. Aladdin. Another movie that's from a lot of people's childhood that maybe my mentality would have been different if I had seen this movie as a kid. But I saw this as an adult, and that's The Nightmare Before Christmas. I don't like this movie. I admired the live action. I mean, the stop motion that they did with the movie. Especially for a movie that's that old, they had to do that, scene by scene. I can only imagine the amount of work they put into the movie. But I don't love it. It's one of those movies that it's funny because I love Tim Burton's movies. I like Batman Returns, I like Beetlejuice, Edward Scissorhands, Sleepy Hollow, list can go on and on. But this is probably one of my least favorite movies from Tim Burton. It's nothing, for me there's nothing memorable, and I know people like a lot of the stuff in it. I recall years ago when I used to work for FYE, they had released these commemorative box sets with like the characters and whatnot, and they sold really quickly. And to this day it still has an amazing following. And again, I think it's probably the age that I watched it in. Because there's a lot of movies that, you watch, growing up that are not very good. Like, one of my favorite movies is Super Mario Brothers, and that movie's not very good. But, again, I'm very biased because I saw it as a kid, and I still like it to this day. So, but, yeah, Nightmare Before Christmas is one of those movies that it just doesn't work for me. I have nothing else to say about it. So, The last two, I really do not like. I really don't. And this one that I'm about to mention is just so outlandish for me that I don't even think I'll ever watch it again. That movie is Pretty Woman. Pretty Woman, the whole plot of this movie makes no sense. The whole point that this guy falls in love with this prostitute, and the main character is so naive, like Richard Gere, giving this woman everything that she wants, and I just don't buy Julia Roberts in the role. It's one of those movies that there's a better movie out there, and I don't say better, but a little more realistic that came around the same time, or I think about a year after. It's a movie called Whore with Teresa Russell that tells a better version of Pretty Woman, and it's in a more realistic way. Even though that movie's not very good, it felt more realistic than what Pretty Woman did. I get it. It's a rom-com, it's supposed to be romantic and whatnot, but I couldn't buy it. I just could not buy the relationship between this rich guy and the character that Julia Roberts is playing. I couldn't buy it. And people still mention this as one of the best movies of the 90s. Everyone wanted Richard Gere and Julia Roberts to be together because they appeared in movies like Runaway Bride. And I never seen Runaway Bride. And I think it's because I didn't like Pretty Woman. So, yep, that's one movie that, I won't be watching. Another one is, in this movie, this is probably, I was saying this is not going to be in any particular order, and by accident this ended up becoming the number one movie on this list. I saw this movie in film school, and I had delayed and prolonged and just tried to find excuses not to watch it. And that movie is Citizen Kane. So Citizen Kane is considered one of the best movies of all time. If you don't love this movie, you are insane. I remember my professor at the time saying, I don't trust you if you don't like Citizen Kane. There's something wrong with you if you don't like this movie. And I watched it, and on a technical level, this movie is amazing. It's, if you want to learn anything about editing, cinematography, shot composition, all of that, you'll learn about it in Citizen Kane. It's a good, technical, well-made movie. The story, I thought it was just too simplistic. And people even mentioned that the story is, amazing, it has a great character arc, you're learning about someone, especially, that the ending, the twist ending, Rosebud. And once I found out what the ending was, I was like, oh, okay, it's fine. It's just, I'll probably rewatch this movie only because of the technical aspects. There's a lot of things to learn from this movie, and there's so many movies that have come out since that have copied from Citizen Kane. It's amazing because Orson Welles was really young when this movie was made, and a lot of the movies from Orson Welles I feel the same way about. There's another movie that he made that right now I don't remember the title of it, but it has a great opening, an amazing opening where it's all one tracking shot, and it suffers from the same problem that I just don't find the story that engaging. And with Citizen Kane, I have the same problem. It's just too long, and call me a dumb millennial, whatever you want to call me, I don't care. It's just, there's sometimes that I just want to watch something that's easy entertainment. One of the most valuable things that we have in life is time. And, and there are times when you want to have an opportunity to enjoy something, when you do have some leisure time. I don't have all the time in the world, and I don't want to spend 3 hours watching something that I'm not going to enjoy. And that's kind of the case of Citizen Kane, where if I want to sit down and enjoy a movie, I don't feel like I'm going to enjoy Citizen Kane. I will probably skip to the parts that I want to see just so I can get what I want to get out of it, not as a whole. And there's even memes been made out of this movie, especially the scene where the main character starts tearing things around the room. Reminds me of when Tommy Wiseau was like, tearing everything around the room. So I would tell you that again. I'm just repeating myself, so I'm not going to say anything else. It's probably my least favorite movie in this list. My least favorite movie in this list is Citizen Kane. So guys, thank you for watching. These are 15 movies that I do not love, I don't hate, but for whatever reason people love them so much, they quote them all the time. Hey, to each their own. Also, there was a video that I uploaded a few weeks ago, and it's already been taken down. It's no longer up. But I read your comments, and thank you so much. It hasn't been easy, so I'm just trying to keep myself busy, doing videos and whatnot, and all in due time. It's a process. For those who saw it, you know what I'm talking about. And I read the comments, so thank you. Even if I didn't get a chance to respond because I deleted the video, thank you so much. It's not something that I wanted to put out there. It just happened that way. So anyway, that's that. So let me know in the comments section down below if there's any other movies, if there's 15 movies that come to mind that you don't love but other people do. So I'll be seeing you guys next time.